In 2006, we formed Family First New Zealand. We wanted to be a voice in the public domain to champion strong and stable families, to promote the institution of marriage, and to protect life from conception through to natural death. We believe strong marriages, connected families, and respect for life and freedom lead to a strong nation. But the reverse is also true. Family breakdown leads to much social cost, both to individuals and to society. Family First quickly became a household name, advocating for families and speaking common sense and values on a broad range of family issues in New Zealand.
Family First has been fighting the law since its 2007 inception. It's now armed with a legal opinion from public lawyer May Chen, saying good parents are being criminalised.
You see, while good families are being thrown under suspicion and even investigated, child abuse has continued at the same rate.
He tono nā te rōpū Family First kia whakapiki anō te pakeke o te inu waipiro ki te rua te kauma.
This is a question I want to ask Louisa, is once you change the definition once, what stops you changing it again?
What about the calls from Family First, which have come out this morning from Bob McCroskey, about the right to silence law?
Because there are parts of it, I mean, we're talking sex, violence, drugs, aren't we?
Explicit though, and I'd like to read extracts from the book to you, but we can't on here.
I'm a mum who is concerned about families. So let's tackle the real issues of child abuse. But is a smack from a loving parent child abuse? Of course not.
Family First have released a survey. It's called Young People and Alcohol, and of course the alcohol reform bill is something that's going to be kicking over this year.
We're just saying, hey look, it's just a physical act. As long as you wear the condom, you can basically get away with anything.
It's almost 4 years since babies Chris and crew Kahui were killed. Now Family First says an anonymous donor has offered $25,000 to see justice served.
Gay adoption?
No, because I think a child deserves a mum and a dad.
Explicit graphic violence. Not exactly family viewing, right? Well, definitely not, says Family First.
Once you redefine something, where do you stop? I mean, what's wrong with 3 consenting adults who want to get married, or 4?
Family First, who oppose Sue Bradford's move, have brought out a US academic who's written extensively in favour of the limited and moderate use of corporal punishment.
Family planning have been constantly arguing that they need to get in at a younger and younger age, and this is not just New Zealand based, this is international based. These groups want earlier access to kids, they want to discuss gender identity.
2, 3, 4, Others were outraged. A lobby group gathered 300,000 signatures, which forced the citizens' referendum.
Most people would raise their eyebrows and say, well, surely you know what your biological sex is.
Joining me now is Dr. Miriam Grossman, a psychiatrist from the States who writes about the harm of sex education. She's been brought out here by Family First.
Other guidelines include reviewing toilet spaces and making sport less gender-specific. Family First believes the guidelines are too extreme.
Family First's making no apologies for a report that claims too many New Zealand children are spending too long in daycare.
The Family First organisation says there have been 10 suspicious child deaths in the past 17 months. That's these 7 children and 3 other newborns.
Because your children apparently are risking their health by spending too much time glued to TVs and devices. Well, that's the claim in a new report by a family values lobby group.
Primary schools are exposing children to sexually explicit images and material that's not appropriate for their age. This, according to conservative lobby group Family First.
And what did you make of the decision to repeal Roe v. Wade?
Oh, fantastic decision.
Yeah.
Anybody who thinks that the unborn child has a right to life and that their bodily autonomy should be recognised.
I appreciate so much Family First and what you're doing. It will make a difference in the future.
I'm a housewife, I'm a mum, and they made me feel like New Zealand's most wanted.
We went to hell and back because we tried to use the system.
My dad now has a conviction and because my sister lied, and it's stuck.
They photograph you, they fingerprint you, and then I was put in a cell.
The anti-smacking law is punishing good parents. View the evidence for yourself at protectgoodparents.org.nz.
If Bob is saying that those gay couples aren't fit to raise children...
Nobody is saying that. We're saying what is the priority? And what is the best case example, and what is the purpose of adoption?
Okay,
do you want to say to a 7-year-old girl, we don't think you need a mummy?
Bob, if you want to worry about the world imploding, worry about nuclear weapons and climate change, not gay couples.
plumbing.
Bob, if you want
I
to
don't
worry
want to.
about the world imploding, worry about nuclear weapons and climate change, not gay couples.
I just want to
It's
ask you
not
a very,
about gay
very
couples
quick
because it's
question,
also
Bob.
heterosexual de facto couples that can't adopt as well. It's
very
not a
quick
gay
question.
issue, Jacinda.
No, very quick question.
One of the major left-wing blog sites in New Zealand, The Spin-Off, who would disagree with most of our views, wrote this about us.
They participate in politics in a way other advocacy groups can only dream of. The group also boasts a genuinely nationwide presence, a machine that's been so influential in shaping and driving conservative politics in New Zealand.
There have been some significant social and moral debates over the past few years, including the referendum on euthanasia.
It talks about not only people who might die within 12 months, and there's plenty of examples of people who've well outlived the diagnosis that they've been given.
And the referendum on cannabis, which Family First primarily focused on.
They saw every single harm associated to drugs in terms of overdose,
You've been reading the
in terms
Cato
of
report.
problematic
the
use,
Cato report
reduce.
is a libertarian organisation with radical drug policies.
Former police officer Nick Tuitasi, now working for Family First New Zealand, is a strong advocate against the bill.
My name's Ronnie Clark, and I want to encourage you to vote no to dope. Vote no. Vote no.
Vote no.
Vote no.
Vote no. Vote no.
Vote no. Vote no. Vote no. Vote no.
Vote no.
Vote no. Nope.
New Zealand is too precious.
Far too precious.
Way too precious. Aotearoa.
It's too precious.
It's too precious. It's too precious to be wasted.
Well, the vote on cannabis has gone right down to the wire. No campaigners celebrating a win.
It's good news for young people that they're not going to be enlisted in a social experiment.
I take a massively positive message. You saw even the really perversely named Say No to Dope campaign. I'm sorry, guys, cannabis still exists. Well done.
It was the introduction of one of the world's most extreme abortion laws.
Just focusing on just a physical issue. We are not dealing with the emotional and the spiritual issue that we are well aware is in a holistic approach.
I'm Dr. Norman McLean. Today I'm going to describe a first trimester surgical abortion. The suction machine has a force 10 to 20 times more powerful than the usual household vacuum cleaner.
We know that every human deserves life. No matter how they get this earth, we just know that abortion is not an option. I think the true disability here is people who are inhuman. It's not the condition.
My mother was actually raped, and I guess I'm what society would call a rape baby. To anyone else that has been conceived in similar circumstances, you have every right to life, just as much as anyone else.
The birth certificates legislation, which allows you to change the sex on your birth certificate based simply on how you identify. And the deeply flawed and ideologically driven conversion therapy law, which has criminalised aspects of family life, free will and expressions of faith.
Performing gay conversion therapy could soon be a jailable offence.
Lobby group Family First says the ban is an attack on parents' rights, calling the law fundamentally flawed and unfair.
The government wants to legislate against the discussion and practice of alternatives. Our annual conference, the Forum on the Family, is one of the largest social conservative conferences held in New Zealand, with both local and international guests, including prime ministers, senior political leaders, well-known New Zealanders and international speakers, experts in the area of abortion, gender ideology, drugs, euthanasia, media and many other issues. And after a battle that lasted almost a decade and 4 court cases going all the way to the Supreme Court, the government finally succeeded in deregistering Family First as a charity, because they believe that our purpose of promoting the traditional family unit cannot be shown to be in the public benefit. In other words, they don't like our views on family and marriage.
The Supreme Court has ruled that Family First does not qualify for charitable status.
It's 10 years, it's cost us about $750,000 because we've been fighting this on the basis that the danger is that when the court determines what can be and can't be said by charities, we're in a dangerous place. Family First has never backed away from the fact that we back a Judeo-Christian value, and that is that marriage has always been defined as one man, one woman. There are other forms of relationships. Use another name.
The good news is we're still here and we're not going away. Being a strong and uncompromising voice for the values that matter to families and social conservatives won't be affected in any way, whether the state formally recognises us or not. There are too many important issues in our nation and our culture that we need to continue to speak truth into. Family First is educating and empowering parents to push back against the radical and extreme gender ideology and sexuality education curriculum and the divisive critical race theory being indoctrinated in schools. Continued attempts to liberalise our drug laws, ongoing attempts to introduce hate speech laws, and our need to protect religious freedom, specifically Christian beliefs, which are the obvious target. Our calls for an inquiry into the public health harms of pornography and age verification on porn websites. Ongoing advocacy work and research in the areas of marriage and families. Continued monitoring of the abortion, euthanasia and conversion therapy laws. And our What is a Woman campaign, calling for public policy and legislation based on biology, not ideology.
Here is one of the most difficult questions you can ask in our culture today. Are you ready? Thinking caps on, dictionaries and encyclopedias at the ready. Here's the question. What is a woman? The main objective of the What is a Woman campaign is to communicate a truthful, biologically correct, common sense definition of woman that has been carried down through generations and cultures.
We even flew a banner over the recent FIFA Women's World Cup at Eden Park, asking that really tricky question, what is a woman? The fans at the game and the worldwide television audience could figure it out. The last general election also proved just how much influence Family First can have. More than 100,000 copies of our popular Value Your Vote guide for the general election were distributed around the country. And our website was accessed by thousands of families. This enabled voters to see which parties and which politicians had values that matched theirs. Then there's our new wokeup.nz website, informing Kiwis about which businesses are promoting critical theory, radical sexuality and gender ideology, LGBT indoctrination, climate alarmism, anti-Semitism and other leftist ideals. Businesses who want to lecture you with a side serving of wokeness with your purchase. Plus our significant presence on social media with a number of shows which are becoming very popular. Family Matters, hosted by a number of presenters and commenting on a range of issues. Hate speech laws, crime and violence in our community, sexuality education and gender ideology, critical race theory, puberty blockers and gender confusion in our young people.
I was directed not to take an approach of exploration. You must always affirm the child.
For the sake of protecting women's rights, and actually men's rights too, if we can't agree the basic objective truth of biological sex.
There is yet another attempt to liberalise our trading laws during Easter.
These kids have underlying emotional problems.
Then there's our regular video blog called McBlog, with an almost daily dose of commentary around social and family issues. And that episode, which went viral.
We are now happy to take questions.
Our very popular weekly political analysis show, Straight Talk, with a panel of guests who are unashamedly and unapologetically social conservatives. Some would argue that Straight Talk had a significant impact on how social conservatives voted at the last general election, especially that interview with ACT leader David Seymour.
I can't believe how one person can get so much wrong.
that you can lie and then laugh at destroying truth. I actually don't know what the point of continuing the interview is.
The Disinformation Project, no supporters of Family First, admitted in a recent report that Family First had had more viewers and engagement than some of the main news channels in New Zealand during the coverage of the Posey Parker protest at Albert Park in 2023. And our two new programs, Pulse Point, reporting on family issues from New Zealand and around the world which the mainstream media aren't reporting or are misrepresenting.
Welcome to Pulse Point, the latest media stories and research related to family and society that you need to know about. It's time to cut through the spin and uncover the real issues. I'm Tambi Saurus.
And Solid Ground with Simon O'Connor, a live weekly chat with Simon's commentary on current social issues and questions from the viewers.
As the name suggests, Solid Ground is about basing our discussions on good values, good ethics, good principles. We're going to be talking about the issues of today, and the really important element, it's live. You get the chance to ask me what's important to you.
Our ability to research, advocate for and keep families informed as to the issues affecting them, and ultimately be a family watchdog, has only been possible because of your investment. We don't receive a cent of government funding, and we wouldn't even take it if it were offered. It would compromise our independence and ability to honestly critique and influence public policy. We're supported and funded by thousands of families throughout New Zealand. Ultimately, though, we want to be a voice for you, for the issues and values that you care about. We trust that you'll appreciate our common sense, researched and credible approach to the many family and political issues in the media and public domain. Join the grassroots movement to promote marriages, life, family and freedom. We will continue to be uncompromising and unapologetic in our promotion of the socially conservative values and laws which you also strongly believe in. Stand with us as we stand for families.